How to mitigate weather risks in construction. Weather's coming, but do you know how to work around it and to absorb the delays or impacts from it? If you don't, you're going to be working weekends, you're going to be working overtime, and I don't want that from you. So I know weather is like an act of God, but do you want to know how to be the master over it? That's what we're going to cover right now. So let's go. So first and foremost, what are weather risks? So it's the impact that weather could have on your project, because we're not in a manufacturing facility somewhere, right, in a protected environment. We're out in the field, in the heat, in the cold, in the elements, right? And so we know that there's a chance that we can be impacted. But most of the time we know that there's a chance that we will. So the risks of that happening need to be identified and mitigated. And here is the advice to show you how to do that. And before I begin, I do want you to know that the general concept is this, that you need to identify your overall total project duration, create your master schedule, and really throughout that schedule, look at weather patterns and look at historical data for what has happened and estimate what is likely to happen on your project. And this is the key, to put in contingency, weather contingency, or weather buffers that can absorb that, and to have the right contract provisions that will allow you to have a time extension if you don't have that contingency or those buffers. Because expecting that weather isn't going to happen is really not a thing, especially if you live up in the northern region of the United States or the world, or if you're in Florida where it rains a lot, right? Or Louisiana, these different places throughout the world where weather pretty much happens, right? You know, you need to plan for, or if you're in Canada, like I got a call the other day from somebody in Canada that says they shut down throughout the winter. Like, you know what's going to happen, so we need to plan around it. So here are the steps. Number one, weather forecast monitoring. You need to monitor the weather throughout the project and really stay on top of it. In fact, on a project, actually this was the first project I was ever on in a management position. The project superintendent had a board and he said, Jason, I want you to update this board. I want the temperature and the weather forecast always projected on this board, large dry erase markers, so that anybody coming in the project can see it, so that we can anticipate it and always have the 5-day forecast. And I thought that was really cool because it was a proactive way to track the weather. So always track the weather proactively so you can anticipate it, see it coming, and react. Number two, the risk assessment. Like I said, you're going to look at your schedule. You're going to look at those cold winter months, those hot winter months, the rainy season, right? When do you get monsoons? And look historically, when have you gotten enough rainfall or snowfall or ice pack or whatever it is to shut down a project for that day, and then you're going to estimate the amount of days that you will need for that type of work. Let me give you for instance, like if you're doing foundations in the rainy season, you're going to need some weather contingency. You're going to need some weather buffers. But if you're completely sealed in and it's all just feeding the building and working inside, maybe not. So look at the risks in the timeline for what you're doing in each of the phases. Do that risk assessment. Then not only will you make sure that you have your weather contingency or weather buffers, but you'll come up with a weather mitigation plan. So here's an example, and this is actually really cool. So I really hope you're paying attention right now. I saw an example one time, and I didn't do it. Oh, no, I did do it on my projects after that, but I stole this from another project. This is what they did. They took those slices of time in their schedule, anticipated the weather, and then they took an isometric from the model of the building and then did a blue beam drawing showing where they had risk mitigation measures. And so let me just give you a couple of examples. They said our exterior will be 3/4 of the way up, right? Our interiors will be 2 floors up. So they did a little drawing showing that they would have to actually drape plastic or visqueen down and anchor it on the top 2 floors, that they would have to seal the top of the curtain wall around where it had progressed around the building, and that they would have to protect the insulation on the lower floors. And they showed the flashing, they showed the plastic, they showed even on the floors, if water got into the upper floors, what would we do to protect the construction joints, water from coming down? And we put sheet applied waterproofing over those cracks. So this was all on a blue beam sketch before they ever started the project. And then I started to do it so that when you start the project, not only do you have your weather contingency and your buffers, or your buffers, whatever you call them, but you will also have your actual drawing that says, hey, at these different phases, these are weather risk mitigation devices or strategies. So the entire team knew the plan well in advance, so that as we're tracking the weather, we knew, hey, do we need to engage this or that or whatever? And we had the materials procured. And so that is the way that you manage your project to avoid impacts from the weather. Number 3, you need to be flexible with your scheduling, meaning if you have buffers, you need to know that some of these things can move. So make sure that the schedule communicates that. What we like to do in our schedules was to put an object, a transparent object, over that time frame that told contractors, hey, there could be some flexibility needed here based on the weather. These dates could move, and make sure that everybody is aware of that, and that it's a part of your basis of schedule or your contract inclusions or your template master subcontract agreement. Either one, you need to make sure that there's some flexibility allowed in there if you experience a weather day. Number 4, contract provisions. You really need to understand the contract and how the owner sees weather days, meaning really read the fine print. Do you get a time extension and the finances that cover your general conditions and your general requirements, or is it just a time extension? How do you submit for a weather day? How do they get approved? What documentation is required? Where does it have to be discussed, right? How does it need to be shown in the schedule? Be very clear about your contract provisions. 5, always be ready for temporary weather protection. So if you need squeegees or brooms or large buckets, or even the 55-gallon drums, or if you need vacuums, obviously the shop vacs that can deal with water, or if you need plastic, or whatever you need on standby, cleanup kits at a minimum, have those ordered, ready, stocked, and staged if something happens that you didn't expect. 6, you need to do early planning for seasonal weather impacts. So if you're heading into the winter, it's time to start planning like 2-3 months ahead. If you're heading into the summer, you need temp cooling, it's time to start planning that 2-3-4 months in advance. So make sure that you have milestones or triggers on your schedule that trigger the team to go start doing seasonal weather planning. Number 7, document weather-related delays. And so not only will you want to document and take photos for your storm water pollution prevention plan and maintenance according to your best management practices, but you'll also want to document that for your schedule and keep really good notes in your daily report so that when you submit a weather impact, you can actually get it approved. Number 8, have alternative work strategies, meaning know what you're going to do if you do get rained out or snowed out. Are you going to work on the inside? Are you going to work over at the shop? What are you going to do with your labor force? Don't leave it up to a guess during the day, especially if you have like in Florida when they have a lot of rain. Don't show up like an accident and be burning through labor hours. If it's starting to rain that day, know automatically what are you going to do. Are they going home? How many people are going to come maintain your SWIP? Who's going back to the shop to prefabricate? Know your plan for alternative work. 9, if you have something that goes really haywire, make sure that those weather impacts are looped into your emergency response plan. And I believe every project needs a really visible, a summarized emergency response plan at a moment's notice where you can grab it off the wall, because if something happens in emergency, human beings don't think very well in an emergency. You need to go be able to grab that document and go through the steps and know what to do if you actually have an emergency event on your hands. And number 10, do not forget insurance coverage. Review insurance policies and make sure that there's the proper language in there to cover weather-related incidents and delays, and ensure that the project is covered for any potential losses. One thing that we should cover, I don't know if I did cover, is I would love for you to like and subscribe to this video. I think this is the jam. Like, this is something that we deal with on every project. If you found this valuable, please give me a like and subscribe. I want to get this information out. And so this is what I'm going to give you. I love these. I'm a sucker for like really beautifully formatted checklists. I'm going to give you a beautiful formatted Canva document with a checklist for how to manage potential weather impacts and delays that you can put up on the wall and use when you're planning your project. I really hope you love it. And if you need anything else, put it in the comments below. But I love you. I hope you put this to good use, and I hope you're able to manage your weather. On we go.